Hi John, hi congregation. Normally at this point we would have a big celebration to say farewell to John, and he would well deserve it. But as you know, we are not allowed to do that kind of things just now. So we decided that what we would do is have a few folk say a few kind words about John and his time with us. But as the first one here, I am not here to say any kind words at all, but to talk about my frustration. Those of you who have been watching the children's dresses will have noticed that I think it was the second one he did a load of magic tricks. And the one that really impressed me was the one right at the end where he managed to disappear just by going. The only trouble is, I can do that, but I don't disappear because John refused to tell me how to do it. So I've spent all my time going with no effect whatsoever. I could do, yes, it worked, ha ha ha, now I know how to do it. Oh, right, how do I get back? No, none of that's working. Oh, I need to work out how to get back. While I'm doing that, here are some other folk in the church who are going to say some nice words about John before he disappears.
This wee mousy brown man came in and I thought, oh, he looks interesting. And I think that tells you more about me than about him. But I thought, he's not what I imagined at all. And he seemed very pleasant. And the thing that impressed me was it wasn't very long before he was talking to people and I thought, good sign. I like that.
Well, my first impressions of John was that he was relatively quiet and reserved, but very approachable. You could talk to John, and I think in my case we had something in common as much as we both came from Pullman. You know, well, I stayed in Pullman, and John came from Pullman, and we knew. Well, I learned that he used to be a waiter in the Parkhill House when I stayed there, and no doubt at some point in time he actually served our table, you know.
He was very quiet. That was the first impression of him, was he was quite quiet. He talked a bit about his background and where he came from. I thought there was depth to him that we would probably take some time to get into because he was quiet. There was a bit of reservation I felt there at the beginning.
Well, I first met John when he turned up at the manse for one of our worship group meetings as the latest trainee minister. And I thought my first impressions were, this one's a wee bit quiet. But as he grew in confidence and he turned into the sort of John Gow that we've come to know and love.
Well, our first impression of John was that he was very forthcoming, friendly, and was quite willing to talk both about himself presently and in the past. And at all times when you did speak to him, he was forthcoming in what he was doing and where he had been and what he had done.
Our first impressions of John were very self-confident, and he seemed very self-assured, and he didn't seem to be daunted by the idea of being sent to Alva, which I thought was quite brave of him.
I felt quite sorry for him when he had to come along and speak to chums and brought his ukulele and everything. But that was really good to see that, learn a little bit more about him. And then he brought us the book that he had written, the children's book that had been illustrated by his friend. So it was like another layer of him just gradually letting us see a little bit more of him. So I think it came slowly, but definitely more recently with the change that we've had to make to the worship.
John has a huge in-depth knowledge of parts of the Bible, certainly, and he brought some new insights into the bit that we were working on, and I think brought a complete fresh outlook and changed, I think, probably fairly completely what we'd planned to do.
The Crumblies started basically when the late George Sherry was on the go, and we couldn't get out. We used to go out with George through the week and whatnot, but eventually George got to the stage that he couldn't travel, and we started going to, well, initially it was the 71 and the Alva, and then we ended up at the tea room in Tilly. After George's passing, and John arrived, I had along with Dave Clark, I had the sort of notion that it might help John settle in, be getting involved with us reprobates, and we invited him to come, and he came, and really it was like a duck to water. He came in and he put up with the sort of slagging that we gave him. One of the points that he made was when he worked in the newspaper industry as a reporter. He reported on fashion, and of course, and as far as we were concerned, that wasn't something we could miss. You know, we had to take it to task.
Well, this is not what I expected to be. Mind you, sometimes in the ministry that's exactly what happens. You end up not being where you expect to be. For instance, I'm sure John didn't expect to be in front of Primary 1 class and all by himself. Now, if I was really evil, what I would have done is the week before I would have done it. And with my 30 years plus experience, I would have nailed it. And then said to him, hey, you do it next week. Because that would be like an Olympic swimmer going into a pool, doing a world record length, and then turning around to this complete novice who had never seen water before and saying, hey, now it's your turn. Let's see what you can do. What happened? I'll let other people tell you.
John, when you first came into my primary 1 class, you were very nervous. You were shaking. I remember watching your hands tremble as you were scrolling through your very fancy iPad kind of device. And even though you were nervous, though, the children sat and stared and listened to every single word you had to say. When you came back the second time and every other time, it was like you had just figured out 5-year-olds and 4-year-olds. You were confident, you listened to their answers to their questions, I don't know, you had them eating out of the palm of your hand. So it was clear to see that after even just one session, once you started to get to know the children, you had a way with them which they loved. So well done to you, and I want to wish you all the best in everything that you do, and I hope you keep working with children because they love you. Bye.
Well, I think I'm nearer home. But then, sometimes the ministry is like that. You just think you're closer to where you need to be, and then suddenly, disaster. And that's what happened to all of us in March, where things just took a turn that no one expected. And in a crisis, it either makes you or breaks you. Let's try again.
Well, what I think was doing the Zoom meetings with the prayer group. They were really good, because what I thought with the prayer group, it was great. It was a time for us all to get together and pray together and see each other as they prayed, and I thought that was quite important. So yes, John, thank you for your Zoom meetings, which were fantastic. It kept us as a group. We felt, although we were apart, we were together. Also, it was lovely at the end of the prayer group meetings, we always had time for a little chat and a time for a laugh and get to know each other, and I think that was very important, particularly during the COVID.
He excelled himself from the point of view that from when he started, you could tell that he was hesitant, but then as time has gone on, he's become more and more mature and more confident.
The amount of growth that I have seen in maturity, for a start. Over the period of this past 5 months has been enormous. There is a settledness. John has found his place now. You can see it in his videos, the sermon videos. There's the way he stands, he's got authority. You can see that. He's confident. His children's addresses, which he was very unconfident about at the start, are absolutely superb. He's blossomed, I would say.
Well, I think we've been hugely blessed with having John here. It allowed us to get to grips with the technology and sustained us in our worship through that whole 6-month period that we've had so far. And his daily prayers on the Facebook page have been really tremendous. I don't know how he finds the material to keep looking at it in a different, fresh way every day, but that's really been excellent.
One of the things I was thinking was that at the beginning he told us that he liked to go walking and he liked to leave things behind. And I was thinking, what's he left behind here? Because he likes to leave behind pen tops and bits and bobs of things, pennies. He's a bit of a litterbug that way, I think, but so that when he goes back he can see that he's been there before. I remember him telling that in one of his early sermons. But I think if you look back, what's he left here? He's left quite a legacy of we've got the recordings, the earbuds, the outside broadcasting, all the fancy gizmos of things popping up on screen. So that's something that John has left behind. And through his quietness, which is different from you, because you're a much more outgoing character, although that's not your nature, but you do have that kind of outgoing. He kind of balanced a little bit. He was a bit quieter in the background, did his thing. I think he has a real depth of character that just takes a wee bit of time to get to know. And it's lovely to see him just get that confidence.
Oh. Not where I want to be, but maybe where I need to be. And that's where you are now, John. You are going to a place where you need to be, where God needs you to be. And we wish you all the best blessings for that. And I think it's only fitting that it's not just me that says thank you, but it's others also that give you what their blessings would be.
From the time you've been with us, you have shown that you have what it takes to be a minister. You have grown in stature, as far as I'm concerned, over the past 15 months here in Alva.
The church that gets him is getting somebody very, very special. And I think he will have the whole, he'll take the whole heart, the whole church to heart. And I think that's the main thing. I would probably predict that the session, the congregation, I'll find them excellent.
I would say that John's been a blessing to this church and the community when he's been here in Alva, and I would pray that that blessing goes with him. He's a man of God, so whatever church chooses John, they'll be very good, very grateful to get him, and I would just pray that John's path that God gives him to walk will be straight and easy to walk.
So I think he did an excellent job, and as far as anything in the future is concerned, I think he'll be an excellent parish minister, and I wish him every blessing.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, John was just a nice guy, and I always got a wee hug, which Jim does not give so willingly. And I'm really sorry that I won't get a wee hug from John, because it's just so easy. And he was in here, and it was his birthday, and Anne Marshall was here, and with a cake, and we didn't know it was his birthday, and we had a wee celebration and wish him a happy birthday, and that was in October. So that's my lasting memory, and I thought he was just like one of the family. So I miss my hug, John.
Keep on, be yourself, John. You're doing a great job. A good job, yep. Just be yourself.
I think he'd be a huge blessing to his new charge, and I would just want to say thank you for all he's done here. Good luck in his new charge, and God bless.
Believe in yourself. God's given you these gifts. You know, who he is for a purpose. It's who God wants him to be. And wherever he goes, his gifts will be needed there. And he just needs to trust that and let God use him and be open to the challenges that he has ahead and not be scared to let people see who he is, because he's a very special person.
So that's us. All done, all finished. Wishing you well, John. The only thing left is for me to go home. So I think I'll do that. Do you know, it's probably easier for me to walk.